It's working. We're back. It's Thursday the 9th. Yes, it's the 9th of November. And we're doing it all over again, just like we did yesterday, the day before. It's like Groundhog Day. We answer your traffic and police questions. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, the show on the internet that answers your traffic and police questions. And the person answering the questions is a traffic cop, hence the name. If you've got questions, we've got answers, drop them in the comments. Where can you make those comments? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. You can jump over to any of the platforms except X. See, because we're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter. And you can ask us questions anywhere except Twitter or X. Don't ask me why. Hopefully it gets fixed. What I can tell you is that you can ask us questions on YouTube for certain, absolutely. And if everything's still working the way it was yesterday, TikTok. TikTok questions are now coming over. And I say that too soon. It didn't work. I didn't see this question coming over. So who knows? Maybe it didn't work today. Every day is a new day when it comes to the functionality here. Let me see if I got that going on right. Let's have a look. Let's see. Where do we have this button? Streaming here. Oh, of course I can't. Yeah, it should be working, but it does not appear to be working. You know what? That's probably even better. So, JD, we might need cutting and pasting today. Not sure. Let's see here. We got Akila Draconis, who's been in before the show actually started with greetings and salutations, who is not watching live, but will be back after his meeting watching it double time. Yeah, it's cool. We have Stephen Bell with a good morning, Sean. We have Tim Shallow with a good morning, Sean. We have Chase P with good morrow, lest we forget. We have Zombie with good morning. And, of course, Randy McNaught, good morning, Sean, and Sergeant Campbell. Sergeant Campbell is here. However, he's not in the room at the moment. We were off at the CAA, OPP, TPS, MTO winter driving launch this morning. We had a media event at the Collision Reporting Center, at one of our Collision Reporting Center locations. And that's what we did. We were talking to media outlets, and then we came back, had a little breakfast on the way back. And, well, it was drive-through pickup, eat here really quick, and then jump on the show. Evan says good morning. He's coming through TikTok. Matthew says hello. Chelsea says good morning. Emma Carroll. Emma, good morning to you. Marina, good morning. And Zero says good morning. And Hartler says morning with multiple G's, which makes it all the better. Interesting questions. Okay, we got questions that are starting, and we will get to those in just a moment. First, I got to talk to you about stuff and things related to, you know it, Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Where are they? What are they doing? Who are they? Why do they exist? You know, that sort of thing. Let's deal with that. Okay, Vision Zero is a group of dedicated officers. Let me back it up. Vision Zero Enforcement Team is made up of a group of officers who are incredibly dedicated, almost mystical and magical in their ability to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. This is the wrong button that I pressed. What are they focused on? They're focused on the big four: speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. They are looking for people who choose to engage in behaviors that lead to serious injury and death on our roads. It's simple as that. If you're doing one of those four things, chances are, whether you've been involved in a serious collision yet, or you will be, I guess yet covers the will be, it doesn't matter. You're doing things that raise your chances of being involved in a serious collision. So we want people to stop doing that. We do that in a way that we like to call education through enforcement. Yes, we issue tickets for people doing the wrong thing on the road. So no good. All right. Well, it's good that we catch them. It's not good that they do things. We'd much rather everyone just do the right thing, and we would happily go grab a coffee and wait for, a something else call. But no, people insist on breaking the rules. All right, November 9th, we have those officers in 22 Division and 43 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Etobicoke West Mall, Queensway, Etobicoke in general, Bendale, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, Guildwood, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. It's as simple as that. If you don't want to meet one of these magical officers, we suggest strongly that you don't break the law, because they don't generally pull people over unless they break the law. Just saying. What else can we talk about? There's so much to talk about. Let me open up a screen so it's ready for when I get to that topic, and we will get to the topic of employment later. Okay, we have Scott who says good morning. Paul has a question. We'll flag it for later. Audio seems kind of not in sync. That's entirely possible. We know that sometimes the world of the internet does not work in our favor. And unfortunately, I can't control that. But I appreciate. I'm looking at my lips trying to figure out if I'm in sync. Nah, I don't know. Okay, let's see here. We have this. We're going to flag this. So what I'm doing, Dr. Nick is also noting the fact that my mouth is moving differently than the voice. Don't know why. We had this issue a while back. We thought we resolved it, but it is possible that we did not. Yeah, who knows why. Let's see here. Car that has right of way. We'll talk about that in a second. It's Lily says, hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Okay, let's get into some flagged questions. So we got this one already. We got that one already. We got, let's see here. If trucks are governed for safety, why aren't cars? It's a perfectly legitimate question. I'd love to see a geo-fenced, or at very least a maximum speed when you're on the road. Now, the truth is that anyone who wanted to break that law would just hack it, because that's what people do. They tinker and hack and do that sort of thing, and they'd probably find a way to get around it. But is it a good idea? Yeah, there's no reason that any motor vehicle on the road should have to go above the posted speed limit. Now, if that means limiting it to 60 on a 60 and 70 on a 70 and 80 on an 80, well, that's great. I think that's fantastic. That would likely reduce a lot of our problems. Now, there would be the people who are not governed, who hack and modify, and they'd be really easy to catch. I think we should also include a form of automated enforcement. But people don't like the idea of being governed this way. And at the same time, many people don't like to follow the rules. So I guess at some point, if people don't start following the rules, governments may change the systems to control the system and the people within it. I know, no one's going to be happy ever. If you had a rear view mirror camera, would that satisfy the law? So we talk about having rear view or cameras that show a clear view to the rear. Now, the law currently shows or discusses having a mirror. Now, some vehicles are being manufactured with video mirrors, or mirrors that have a video camera that present that information in the in behind the one-way glass of the mirror. And I think it's great. And would that satisfy the law? I think it would. I think it would leave some for interpretation, but I think it would meet the grade. If you talk about the spirit of the law, saying you have a clear view to the rear by mirror, and you add by video, and it's producing the same visual representation of what's behind the vehicle, I think you'd be okay with that. It might be a struggle, because some copper might say, no, the law says this, and it could be an argument, but I would take that to court. I would argue that. Let's see here. We got Vizio. Car has right of way. So let's try this again. Car that has right of way is yielding for a pedestrian, but I have a clear path. Can I go, or do I have to wait for them to go first? So what are we talking about? Are we talking about a four-way stop, and you were the first person, they were the first person there, they technically should be the next person to go, but they are yielding for a pedestrian, so you can go? I would say you can go. I don't think you have an obligation to wait until a pedestrian who could take a long time to cross the street would go. I think that is a judgment situation. No one's going to say, well, technically the other person was there first. I think you'd be clear to go. It's all about safety. It's all about what makes sense. All right. If you are watching on TikTok, keep those questions coming in. Please put a Q before your question so that we know that it's a question as opposed to dialogue for somebody else. All right. We have, for some reason, question is not coming over from TikTok again, and I have to investigate as to why that is, because it worked yesterday, and today, no. I have an idea as to why it might be, but we'll figure that out later. Okay, Jerry. Oh, I'm being offered a collaboration opportunity. You'll have to reach out to me later. Let's see here. Does my child age 2 count as a passenger for the HOV lane? Actually, I have a number of these videos on TikTok addressing this very question, and the answer is, yeah, they're humans. I say that even though they may be your little animal, they qualify as human. And yeah, it doesn't have to be a certain age or profession. It's not a carpool lane for work purposes. It is a human being, and children count. So yes, they are a passenger. Let's see here. Thoughts on a graduated licensing for tractor trailer drivers? This has been brought up a number of times recently. Uh, you know what? My thoughts are more training better. Whether or not it's for tractor trailers or any motor vehicle, I think if you're on the road, you should be scrutinized to ensure that you are truly qualified to do what you are doing. And I think we should have higher bars for people to pass when it comes to normal vehicles. So any vehicle, but definitely like G1, G2, I think we're still giving people licenses too easily based on what I'm seeing on the road. Folks, there are people on the road who should not be on the road. There are many who drive very well and safely. There are many who do not. Justin, what are the rules when it comes to window tint? Window tint, lots of videos on this. The deal is as follows. There are two separate charges that could apply, and the governance of those comes from two different places. First, we'll talk about safety. Is your motor vehicle safe for the road? According to the Light Truck and Passenger Vehicle Inspection Guide, in order to certify a motor vehicle for safety, to be on the road, to get your license plates, you cannot have any window tint on your front windshield, and you cannot have more than 30% light blockage, meaning 70% of the light has to get through on the windows left and right of the driver. The back windows, they don't care about. They can be opaque. Think about a panel van, a cube truck. They don't have rear passenger vehicles. So if you painted your rear windows black, no problem. The only thing you have to have is a clear view to the rear by mirror. So side mirrors and nothing attached to your front windshield for mirror, that would be okay, as long as you have those two mirrors to give you that clear view. All right, moving on. That's to get a safety. So if you had more than 30%, your vehicle would therefore be unsafe, not certifiable, and thus not safe for the road, you couldn't get certified, and I would suggest that we would take your license plates from the vehicle and charge you with drive an unsafe motor vehicle. Now, for any tint, regardless of 30% or even less, if a police officer cannot see inside your vehicle, you're obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle by tint or reflective material, or color coding is the wording in the act, that would be a $110 fine. Now, could both of those be charged together? They technically could. I think I covered all the things. Did I cover all the things? Someone will tell me if I missed something, but I think I covered it all. Does windshield obstruction ticket increase insurance? Any ticket could potentially or has the potential of increasing your insurance. Why? Because insurance companies look at convictions of any ticket, not the type of ticket so much. That's not exactly true. Let me rephrase. Minor, major, there's a couple of different categories, and minors and a obstructed window ticket would probably qualify as a minor, whereas a careless would be a major. The minors may take a couple of them before you would accumulate enough of an issue with them to have them adjust your rates, but it's entirely possible that it could. They could take anything. They could do what they want. They're a private company. Let's see here. Chamar K. Pickney has a question. Do pets count as humans in HOV lanes? The answer is sadly no. Your furry friends or furry kids, they're not. No, because some people are like fur parents, right? They talk about their dogs or cats as their pets, as their children. They don't count, unfortunately. If you have here we go. Scott wants to know if you have a permanent handicap permit, can I use the HOV lane, or does it allow me to use other types of lanes? No, accessible permits do not give you access to the HOV. There's no accelerated access. The only thing it does give you is access to parking spots and no parking areas that would allow you to actually park. So you can park with an accessible permit. If the person who qualifies for that permit is in the motor vehicle, you can park in a no parking zone. And now many people say, well, what if I drop the person off who has the permit issued to them in their name? I drop them off the door with their wheelchair, let's say, and they then drive to a parking spot. Can you then use an accessible parking spot? And the answer is no, you can't. But when you're parking, when the act of parking is taking place, that is when the person whose pass is there, or is in their name, must be in the vehicle. Information Fairy has a question. If in the HOV, here we go, let's make this bigger. If in the HOV and an EV is behind, can you cross the lines to get out of the way? If you're in the HOV lane and an electric vehicle is behind you, then they're just, as long as you qualify to be in the HOV lane, it doesn't matter who's behind you. You're in the HOV lane and they're behind you. They stay behind you until you get out of the HOV lane at the next point where you're allowed. You're not allowed to cross the lines. Did you mean emergency vehicle instead of electric vehicle? Maybe that's what you're talking about. That would make more sense. No, you don't get out. You don't cross lines. You would pull over to the shoulder on the left generally. because you'd be crossing over so many lanes. I would say that's unsafe. So in that environment, you would be pulling over to the left shoulder and allowing the emergency vehicle to go to your right. That's a good question, though, now that we've determined that it's an emergency vehicle. So many things that we can use that acronym for. Acronyms are evil. There's too many options to go different places. Okay, is it illegal to hang anything from the rearview mirror? Anything? No. Obstructing your view? Yes. So if you put one small set of fuzzy dice or furry dice? Anyway, dice, it may not be an issue. Maybe they're scented. Maybe it's a single die. But if it is a bundle of dice or many scented evergreen trees that I can't use air fresheners, like that's disgusting. Anyway, if it's obscuring your view, it's a problem. So it all depends. It's a depends answer. How do you go about reporting someone who doesn't buckle their young children into car seats? So you can actually make complaints by going to www.tps.ca. On there, you can make certain reports. One of those reports could be specific to a motor vehicle. It is absolutely something that is a problem. If parents are putting their children's lives at risk by not taking appropriate measures for their safety, there's a charge that they're eligible for. If you believe that the person that is in immediate danger and not having a seatbelt on, I mean, when you say buckle their young kids, are they just letting them wander around the inside of the vehicle? It's a problem. You can call the emergency number if you think they're in imminent danger. You can call your local division if in a non-emergency capacity to talk to them about what they suggest. You can make the online report. You could even, what else could you call? I don't know if you don't want to get involved and you want to make it anonymous, you can do Crime Stoppers. I don't know if they would like that kind of call, but I'm trying to think of options here for you. You could also just tell the person that they are putting their children's lives at risk, and they should really change their behavior. I know it's confrontational; it may not be something you want to engage in, but that's probably where I would start. Granted, they know who you are if you made the next report. Chase has a two-part question. As of April 12th, April 1st, 2022, drivers convicted of stunt have to take a driver improvement course within 60 days, or they will have their license canceled. Do you think that offenses like unsafe move or right turn on red without stopping would be better to send to traffic school instead of only 100? I think traffic school is something we should send a whole bunch of people to. Maybe we should come up with a big list. Not something that is in my area to make change, but I personally think that if it's actually teaching you something, then I think that's good. I think it would be great. Apparently, I am still lagging. I don't know if that's all platforms. I'm certainly hearing from YouTube viewers. Am I lagging on TikTok? Please let me know. Am I lagging anywhere? Is my sync out of sync? I'm set to 30 frames per second, I think 1080p. And maybe I need to drop the resolution a bit because do you really need to see me in high def? I don't know. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. So, can I have photocopies of ownerships for vehicles of me or on me instead of originals? Ownerships, yes. Photocopies can be a true copy, meaning the front and back of the document, and it can be instead of the original. Now, the original, obviously, you can store at home, and we actually suggest people do this. Your insurance, however, must be your original pink slip or an electronic copy by way of app that is approved of from your insurance company. So there's a regulation that says that if it's a proper secure app, that's permitted. It's not a picture of your pink slip. That is not okay. And of course, your driver's license must be your original. Okay, Justin says, or asks the question, if you have lost your wallet and don't have a copy of your license, what happens if you get pulled over? If you lost your wallet and don't have a copy of your license, you can get a ticket for failing to surrender your license, ownership, and insurance. Well, if it's just your license that you have not been able to produce, it's a $110 fine for doing that. Apparently, I'm lagging on Twitch. It's unfortunate. 2 platforms. I will have to put in a trouble ticket to figure out what is up. Okay, Big Jeff Fresh says, good morning. And Chase says, I saw plows on the 407 last night for the first time. Can you discuss the new charge for passing snow plows and whether it applies to a pickup truck with no blue lights? That's a very good question. I can certainly talk about it. So this is specific to passing snow plows that are in formation or echelon. That's what they call it. It's cool. It sounds like a spaceship, echelon. Starship Echelon. Don't. I think it's totally very spaceship worthy. Anyway, the deal is that echelon basically refers to two or more plows working in combination. So you have a plow in lane 1 or 2 and another plow in lane 3, 4, and they're covering and they're basically taking the snow from one lane, passing it across the next lane, being picked up by the next truck and plow combination, and taking it off the road. When they're working in combination, you cannot pass them unless there is a lane that is absolutely free with no part of plow in it, no part of plow or blade. Otherwise, you're looking at I think it was $150 to $2,000 range. So it's a serious do. It is a serious do. What is this? Question. Oh, and welcome back, Akela. T.Ute. T.Ute. If you get hit behind at a red light, who's at fault? What are we talking about? If you get hit behind at a red light, who's at fault? Do you mean that you stopped at a red light successfully and someone behind you hits you? Is that what you mean? If that's what you mean, the person who hit you is at fault. They're not allowed to hit you. Hitting bad. No good. Bad, not good. If you mean something else, let me know. But if you're just talking about someone rear-ending you at a red light, obviously the person who stopped is not responsible for being rear-ended. It's the person who's responsible for the movement of their motor vehicle who is responsible. Big Jeff wants to know clarification. Is it just the snow plows or is it plows only? What if they're just salting plows up? It does not apply to salting. It applies to blades down in echelon, multiple vehicles working in echelon specifically. Jaja wants to know, is it illegal to have underglow on your car? It is not specifically illegal to have underglow on your car. It can, however, violate other, it can violate other areas. So improper headlights, improper taillights, violations of that nature. There's no specific charge for underglow. Okay, questions about mufflers. We'll talk about that in just a second. Oh, I love this question about cops who speed. Okay. Let me scroll back. Here's a question I missed. It's from Scott. I was in the USA. It was nighttime. I was on I-75. Car went off and back on the road in front of me. Kicked up a piece of asphalt, causing damage to my front bumper. Got the plate number. Where to report? In the USA, where to report? Good question. I don't know. Here, that would be something where if you could substantiate it, they would technically be responsible for that damage to your vehicle. But I would assume the local highway patrol or state police. What state were you in on I-75? Was that, I don't know where that, we on the way to Florida? Where were you going? What were you doing? This sounds like more fun than what we're doing here. They never stopped. What would happen? Well, they may not have, they never stopped. I couldn't stop. Well, if nobody stopped and there's no exchange of information, and they may not have even known that they caused damage to your vehicle, but if you got their plate, you can still make the report. Police could contact them, notify them of their involvement, and take it from there. Okay. Okay, I do like this question. Oh, no, I skipped the wrong order, but we'll do this one first. If a police officer is speeding without lights, can I go the same speed as them? No. No, you cannot. Police officers, ambulance, and fire are permitted to exceed the posted speed limit. Police can do it for any lawful reason, while fire and ambulance have some restrictions, and you are never allowed to exceed the posted speed limit. So if you were following me at 120 and I fell back, went behind you, I'd pull you over and give you a ticket for speeding 120 and 100, whereas I am perfectly legally able to do it. I know, it's the information that nobody wants to hear. All right. How loud can a muffler be? How loud can a muffler be? As loud as legally permitted. 74 decibels is apparently the legal limit at idle, from my understanding. But unnecessary loud or unnecessary noise charges come into play when your muffler is obnoxious, when everybody on the road is listening to you, but nobody wants to hear you. Yes. Ooh, we have Evandro who says, good morning. This week is Crime Prevention Week, and your Brazilian fan is watching. And on a different platform. You're on Instagram today. Weird. I'll hit the wave button because that's cool. I don't know why, but the Q&A functionality on Instagram does not seem to be working. So if you got questions, please make yourself seen in the whole chat. What am I seeing here? All right. Let's see what this question is all about. Car insurance provided electronic copy for iPhone wallet as well as pink paper are both valid. So, Harmighty, the deal is that your insurance copy in paper is absolutely allowed. And if the electronic copy is by way of an app, and that is, I don't know about the electronic copy for iPhone wallet. My understanding is the regulation says through a secure app that can be provided to police, then that would be acceptable. So I've never heard of it. Maybe the wallet version links back to an app that can be verified, but just by creating an app or an iPhone wallet image doesn't necessarily make for good. We'd still have to. We do have 3 years to lay the charge, but we'd still want to double check the validity of that. If it's through an app that's secured and can be validated, that would go a lot farther. And I think that that's what we're actually looking for. The Information Fairy says, what is the safety item every driver should keep in the car this winter? Very, very good question. There's so many. I mean, there's so many. One thing over another. I don't know. I have a huge list because I think you should have blankets and food and shovel and sand. And I have a whole go bag of things that gets moved into my car for what happens if we get stuck, what happens if it takes hours for us to get dug out, what happens if I need heat, like a simple candle. If you run out of gas in your car and now you're cold, a simple candle and matches goes a long way for making you a little bit warmer. So there's so many options. One of the basic things, though, forget about sticking it out overnight, because I remember cars being stuck in the muck for a week. I'm pretty sure it was at very least a few days on the 404 around Fincher Steels. There was a car that was stuck there for days waiting for removal. People got out. Car stayed there. So, I think a big thing is wear appropriate inside the car clothing. This may sound silly, but I don't wear a big puffy jacket, nor should you. The puffy jacket is for when I'm outside of the car. Before I get in the car, I take off the jacket, put it in the back seat. This is my in-car layer or something similar. This is my police in-car layer. It's a thinner thermal layer and or polar fleece in this particular situation. And this is what I wear inside. I can drive. It doesn't restrict my movement. It also doesn't take the seatbelt too far from my body, which is a big deal. If your seatbelt is way out here with a layer, I say way out here, you can't even see my hand. If the seatbelt is now inches away from your body because you have a layer of down, well, that means that when your vehicle stops, you continue moving until you hit that seatbelt. It's another impact. It's another injury. You want to avoid that. So you think about a race car driver. They get strapped into a seat to the point where they have zero movement. They are not able to lean and move. They are stuck to that seat. They're one with it. You want to be one with your seat too, or at least once the latch system locks up. Same thing for kids in infant seats or child seats of any size. You want to have no barriers, no big fluffy parkas inside that car seat. We've had situations where kids have actually been ejected from their car seat because they were able to fold up and get outside of the space left open because the seatbelt wasn't tight enough. Also, a change of shoes. Big bulky boots, you press multiple pedals at the same time when you only plan on pressing one. Okay. Can a transport enforcement officer pull over a private car? The answer is yes, they can. They don't generally move around and deal with stuff other than areas that they focus on. But an unsafe motor vehicle is absolutely in their purview. They don't generally do speeding for the average car, though. Akela is noticing what others have noticed prior to his noticing it, which is that there's a small audio-video sync issue today, for which we have no answer. It's happening. It's being seen on Twitch as well as on YouTube. But thank you for bringing it to my attention. I do appreciate the feedback. It helps me diagnose things, even though I have no way to diagnose this. Because I basically learned that I can't fix it during the show, and I need to review afterwards. But it may be a situation where we're running, there might be too much load on our network at the moment, and it may also be that there's an issue somewhere in the computer. Maybe I need to reboot. Is that the fix for everything? All right. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I know it says so on the screen. And behind me, it says Toronto Police. That's because I work for the Toronto Police Service. I'm a police officer at Traffic Safety Programs at Traffic Services, which is the citywide unit for the Toronto Police, the citywide traffic unit, more specifically. And safety programs, well, it deals with traffic safety education. And we're responsible for that citywide. Who's in this unit? At the moment, me. You got it. And I go onto social media to answer your traffic and police questions because we want to be here to help educate people. We figure if you know stuff before you do stuff, you probably won't get caught doing stuff you didn't know was illegal, and you won't get charged for stuff. Yeah, it's the goal. The goal is to save you money, keep you safe, and keep everybody, I was going to say ticket free, but that's unrealistic because some people make mistakes. I can't guarantee ticket free. I can give you the information to make really good decisions though. Okay, Abdel has a question. Let's flag that for 1 second. And I just wanted, following up on the whole blanket situation, my wife says, have blankets for the kids if it gets cold, but don't have them in coats while they're in their seats. Absolutely. Gareth has a question. We'll put that on the flag for a second. And now we'll go to Abdel. For municipal speed cameras, do they start recording your speed only after the posted warning sign? They start recording your, so they likely have a particular set point as opposed to recording. But yeah, they don't snag you before the sign because the sign's there to warn you. I don't know the inner workings of the program. I have interviewed, and there is an episode of TPS Traffic Jam with the folks from that unit that actually administer it. It's not a Toronto Police thing. It's a City of Toronto thing. So if you want more information, definitely check out that episode. I would say I put a link to, maybe I'll find it. I'll put a link to it at trafficcop.ca. But check it out. If you go to Google, you can look it. Okay. Morning to Michael, who just texted me. And what is this? Oh, he's confirming color for garments. Got it. He's probably not watching. Usually watching on Instagram, but I'm assuming he's just texting me out of the blue. Okay. We covered this one. Oh, so I think I covered that. If you have more questions about automated enforcement, let me know. But ultimately, good episode to watch is the one I mentioned. What cap? Oh, here we go. Let's just do I've got an automatic answer that's, does it not show up here? No, I guess I have I have programmed an auto response on my iPhone. It's not on my watch. That says, I'm live streaming. Come watch me on YouTube, but I can't talk on the phone. I was going to use that and be all witty. Oh, maybe I can do it from here. I can do it from here. I thought I could do it from my watch. No, can't do it from there. I guess it's not. Anyway, moving on. What happens if I get caught doing 200 and a 60 asking for a friend? Well, we know that 40 over, so at the 100 kilometer an hour mark, you are stunt driving. At 200 kilometers, I might charge you a stunt, but I'm also charging you with criminal dangerous driving and arresting you. Yeah. That's bad for you. So tell your friend that if they were to do that, they're not very smart. Moving on. Got some details of my training on RLC. Very cool. That's from Michaela. Let's see. Saro Cillian. Do I need to have the original car registration in the car, or a photocopy is good enough? Today's the day for registration questions. So in the province of Ontario, you can have a photocopy of both the front and back. You have to have both front and back of the document, and you can have that in place of. But you got to have something. Otherwise, it's a $110 ticket. Okay. Let's see here. So a follow-up to the piece of something that damaged the front bumper of your vehicle in a collision a while back. Before smartphones and GPS, but my local police said there was no way of getting the person, even if I had a plate number, make, model. So here's the thing. If you got your local police, probably no way. But if it was the local police in Georgia that you had pulled off the road, they would have the ability, they may not have a policy that would deal with it, of reaching out and speaking to that person. If they could substantiate that they were the driver, that was the time, place, and so on, they could likely provide information. You could also talk to your insurance company, having made the report of the initial damage, take that with the license plate of the information, because your report is saying that this is what happened. Even if the police can't charge them, the insurance company can choose to contact them and hold them somewhat responsible. But at that point, it's a private deal amongst private people, companies, stuff and things. Let's see. Tomorrow's a regular day. We're doing this again tomorrow, just in case you were wondering. Back for Friday. And looking forward to that. Looking forward to the weekend, quite frankly. I feel like last weekend didn't happen. So I was busy cleaning. I never really stopped cleaning. So because of that, I didn't feel the weekend vibe. So this weekend, I want to do very little and enjoy weekendness. Let's see here. We got questions about how much to slow down. Questions about comment here. Okay. So first of is the Vizio. Is there a certain amount that we should slow down by for conditions like snow, ice, heavy rain, really dark? Well, if you talk about the very basic the minimum that you should slow down in inclement weather is going to be at least 10 kilometers an hour. So on a 90, it's 80, and 100, it's 90, and at 50, it's 40. 10 kilometers under the posted speed limit, because the posted speed limit is for ideal conditions. Most people are doing 20 or 30 over the posted limit because some people don't think the rules apply to them. So if they're doing 30 over or 20 over or even 10 over, even the speed limit, they could be charged with careless driving in inclement weather. The speed limit is no longer appropriate in some conditions. If everybody else is spinning out and some person believes that the speed limit is appropriate, they're probably going to be the next person to run off the road. Just saying. Now, is it necessarily going to get you a ticket? No, it may not. But I'm just letting you know, speed limit is for ideal conditions. 20 over, absolutely not. Not acceptable anytime. So it really depends on what it feels like, where you feel safe. It may be 40 in a 60, it might be 40 in an 80. And that, because you're still responsible for what your vehicle does. So if you choose to do the speed limit and you spin out, it's on you. Okay. FedEx has a question. We got Thin White Line Interceptor with a question. Let's see. So Ryan had asked if it is working here. First time in a week or more that Q&A is working. So I got your question about the Q&A system, and I put you on screen. Take it away. All right. Okay, there we go. Let's get into the next question. I think I covered this one. Yeah, I think I did. Really dark, though. I don't know if really dark's a reason to slow down. That's you can't go faster than you can see. So if there's snow, rain, sleet, and it's really dark and you can't see, you can't drive past your headlights. You have to be able to see what's up ahead to respond to it. So it might be a reason to slow down, actually. All right, let's go back to the first thing that I flagged here. And this is I got thrown off for a second. It's another speed question. Is there a speed limit you need to slow to when passing emergency vehicles on a traffic stop? This is the slow down, move over rule. So if it is a multi-lane road, you are to go into the next available lane and proceed by. If you have no other lane, you need to slow down to what is safe. Is there a specific speed? No. Slow down, safe. Oddly enough, so many people are going so much above the posted speed limit that it would be a marked change if they just did the actual speed limit. However, slowing down means below the speed limit, not to the speed limit, although it is a reduction of speed for the average driver. If it sounds like I'm annoyed by people who speed, it's because I am. Much safer to have a photocopy of ownership and plate information. I agree, and I don't carry originals with me. They stay in the safe at home. I don't want anything in the car. In fact, even the copy stays in my pocket. Nothing with my address is in the motor vehicle because I know people break into stuff. And Scott, you're very welcome. FedEx wants to know, this is the real FedEx, what is the amount of alcohol equal to 0 or point? It's not 0.5, it's 0.05. And that is going to be it's going to depend. Time, absorption, first of all, I'm not a breath technician, but it depends. It's going to be different for everybody. Some people will take more alcohol to maintain a 0.05. Some people will get there faster. And the conditions of which, like the way they act with that blood alcohol, one person might be a fall down drunk, and one person might be like ready to go jogging and just fine. Different responses from different people. Ryan, who is the Thin White Line Interceptor, says, school bus with flashing four ways, we are allowed to pass with caution, correct? I've seen people stop for this. No. The stop sign is not required to be deployed in order for you to stop. If the red flashers are on, you're saying four ways? Sorry, I retract. If you're talking red flashing lights, you may not pass regardless of the stop sign. If you're talking four ways, being amber lights, hazard lights are not an indicator for you to stop. So maybe clarify what you're talking about. But if you're talking about the red flashing lights on a school bus, you must stop. You may not pass, period. Oddly enough, police, fire, ambulance can also not pass when the red lights are flashing on a vehicle, a school bus specifically. Something that changed recently, we are now a two-stage school bus province. We were the last holdout in the country, and that means that as the school bus is moving, it is going to be in flashing amber. You can pass then. When the school bus stops, it changes to flashing red, and you can no longer pass. Prior to the change, flashing red while the vehicle was moving meant you could pass, and when it had stopped, you could not. However, that was confusing to some. All righty then. Can you touch a mounted cell phone? You can to some degree. Touching versus using, different thing. You are, according to court, based on decisions, you can touch for the purposes of answering or hanging up a mounted phone. That is it. That is all. You cannot type an email. You cannot surf the internet. You cannot choose or skip music. You can answer a call or hang up on a call. That is all. If it's mounted. If it's not mounted, you can't do anything. Scott wants to know about posted and unposted limits. Are all unposted areas in the limit 50 kilometers unless you're in a school zone? When you enter a city limits crossing, you will usually see what the unposted is. But generally speaking, a city street is going to be 50 kilometers an hour unposted, and usually highways are going to be 80 if they're unposted. That being said, I believe that there is a sign as you enter the city of Toronto which dictates that, and it could be different in different areas. What do we have here? Yes. Ryan Pinn, I was talking about you this morning because I was chatting with a chap who was driving a snowplow who's from Nova Scotia. He had moved to Nova Scotia from Toronto after retiring and has come back to do some work. But we were chatting about you in particular. Am I allowed to drive 141.62 kilometers an hour if I need to get back to the future? It's about my kids. No. No, you can't even do it on private property because that would, was it one, did you say 141? Well, it's under 150, so on private property that wouldn't be stunt driving. May not be safe, but it's not technically stunt driving. Thin White Line Interceptor has a further question. Also, flashing amber on school bus indicates a stop soon. No flashing red, no flashing stop sign extended, what to do. So we covered it before you asked. Flashing amber means you can pass. Obviously, use caution. Always use caution. Adam Jocelyn, what is the legal alcohol limit in Toronto? So alcohol limit is both a provincial and a federal situation. When you're talking about legal to drive, under 0.05. At 0.049, you'd be legal. At 0.05, you'd get, at very minimum, a 3-day suspension. If you'd already had received a 3-day suspension within 10 years of this WARN reading, which is what you'd get if you were 0.05, you would get a 7-day, and things escalate. When you are talking about criminal, well, that's 0.08. 0.079 is the limit, where 0.05 to 0.079, you're talking about suspension. 0.08, you're talking about handcuffs. Matching bracelets, yes. Oh. Isn't there a way to, in your software, to put in a manual delay of your voice or video to sync them up when network issues are present? None that I'm aware. This is a network studio. It's in the internet itself. And generally, sync issues are caused because it takes less work to encode audio than it is to encode video. I can simply address it by changing the, what am I saying here? Changing the, can I change this while we're going? Maybe I can. Is it going to work? Let's see. I took it down to 720. Tell me if this fixes it. It's not changing the sync. It's lowering the resolution, but that means less data being transmitted, and it may solve the problem. Okay. Is constantly changing lanes a ticketable offense? Why are you constantly changing lanes? What are you doing? Is it to cut through traffic, like zig 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 zag zag zig zag zag zig zig zag? If you're cutting through traffic, if you're making a marked departure, you're cutting through everybody, that could qualify very easily for stunt driving. Speed would also be a factor. But yeah, changing lanes to the right and to the left, but not advancing through traffic. You just like to change lanes? Are you impaired? Give me some more context. What are you doing? What is the real deal? What's the underlying question to this question? Let's see here. Oh, what's this? What is that? What happens if I'm caught with my front plate on my dash? Well, you get a charge for $110. What's a $110 charge? And that's not, it's failing to properly display your license plate. It has to be on the front of the vehicle, not the front windshield. Has to be displayed in accordance with the regulations, which means front of vehicle, conspicuous place, and in accordance, which means you can't be upside down, can't be tilted. It has to be on the front of the vehicle. Doesn't matter if it's in the front, center, middle, top, bottom. Has to be conspicuously placed. So, and aside from the fact that you'd be getting a ticket, if you lived long enough to get a ticket, because that is a dangerous thing. We're talking about license plates on dashboards. Big metal frisbee-ish ninja star. Sergeant Campbell joining the party.
Can't let you be in here and do all the work today.
I appreciate that. I'll move over, give you all the space.
All right.
So $110 ticket is the simple answer.
And
No microphone yet. There we go.
and kind of dangerous.
It's still no microphone. I'm not hearing you.
Oh, you can hear me. Maybe you can't hear me, but I can.
Well, why don't I hear you?
Are you plugged in?
You hear that?
Oh, yeah. So can everybody else.
How come I don't hear you?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I don't
You
know
can hear
either.
me.
Yeah, but it's weird. That doesn't usually happen. Oh, well, moving on. Let's see here. It really is bothering me.
What else are we talking about today?
Let's see. Mark Griffin wants to know, how long do I have to wait for oncoming traffic to realize the light has changed before I make my left turn? So this is that concept. When does it go from stunt driving, the jackrabbit start, where you jump the gun and don't even give them a chance to respond? So you're at a light, it changed to green, and you take off before anyone has an opportunity to respond. That's a jackrabbit start. That is stunt driving. This one, where you give them pause and no one's moving, they're half asleep at the wheel, how long do you have to wait?
See, I read that a little bit differently. I read it, he's in the intersection already, and the light has started to cycle amber, cycle red, and they're trying to make a
maybe
left
that's where
turn.
they're going with that.
How long do they have to wait before it becomes the oncoming person's fault for running through a red light? So
I think that
the quick answer to it is anybody making a left turn, crossing a travel lane of traffic, can only do so in safety. The obligation is on you to make sure that your left turn is done safely. There becomes a point where a red light's a red light, though. This is really bugging you, isn't it?
really bugging me. I think I plugged it into the wrong place. Anyway, going on.
Going on. That's it. That's all I had. So wait until.
I hear you now.
Okay.
I was in the wrong hole.
You know what? Pre-checks would have saved that.
It was something that I had to do for something else. Yeah.
Stuff and things.
Yes. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm even louder for myself. It's wild. Okay. Adam, we talked about this. Okay, I lost my place. This is a good question. We sort of talked about this with the media this morning. No, that's not what. He meant it in the context of jackrabbits.
So you were right.
It's okay. You're right. Your perspective was also a good question to answer, because somebody else was going to ask it. But I wanted to know it that way, so we covered both sides. Scrolling back, hang on a second. We got a whole bunch of stuff that just popped in. Talked about this. Talked about that. So this came up. Actually, it's good to get your perspective on this one. Is constantly changing lanes a ticketable offense?
Depends. What are you doing it for?
Well, the way I interpreted it was zigzagging through traffic.
So a marked departure of the rest of the.
That's what I said.
Marked departure of the speed? Yeah, absolutely. Could it be? Yes. Could it be dangerous or careless anyways? Every time you change lanes, there's a risk involved with it. The obligation is on you. And if you're zipping in and out of traffic, could it be careless? Yeah, it could be. But it depends.
Scott's interpretation says, as long as you're following the laws, you can change lanes as often as you want, from what I've read.
Yeah, there's no specific law that says you can't change lanes. But if you are changing lanes in the process of
Zoom, zoom.
zooming in and out of traffic, then it is a marked departure.
Most people don't change lanes to the left and to the right because, to the beat of the song. Like, it's just even that would be reason to investigate someone for other reasons. Like, why would anyone do that?
Right.
So at very least, I'd expect to be pulled over. All right. Adam, is there any laws regarding needing winter tires? Funny, I just put my winter tires on. So the deal is, in the province of Ontario, there's no obligation to get winter tires, even though it's a really, really good idea. It's not required. In the province of Quebec, however, it is required. So it depends.
Yep. And we've often been asked if we travel to Quebec with our all seasons or summer tires on, would we get ticketed there? And the answer is we don't know. They may. They've made it a law there to make it safer for everybody on the road. So it's
I think it's someday they'll get around to making it for everybody. Depends on what the climate changes. Maybe we'll just have summer all year round. I was reading a traffic study by the region of Waterloo. They reduced some limits from 50, 60 to 40, 70, 80 to 60. After 1 year of this change, they found drivers only slowed down around 4 to 7 kilometers an hour on average. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people that we see on the road are doing 20 to 30 kilometers over the speed limit. They aren't slowing down regardless of speed. So, yeah, I could see that being an issue.
And if you're used to traveling at a certain speed at a certain location and you've been doing it for years, you just get used to it.
Well, I was recently, and I say recently, it was probably a year or more ago, I was driving on Don Mills. I think it was Don Leslie. It was a Leslie. And I was doing 60. And then I was shocked to see it was 50. So I was doing 10 over. And then I saw a sign that says photo radar. I'm like, oops. I didn't get caught. But I was 10 over. I thought I was doing the right thing. And I was shocked when I actually caught the sign. So obviously I've never gone more than 50 there because not only am I one who follows speed limits, but I know there's a camera there too. So and I remember that moment every time I travel that path of roads going, remember it's 50. So. My sister gets parking ticket using my vehicle. Does it affect my personal driver record? No.
Nope.
You are not driving. A and B, parking tickets have nothing to do with driver's licenses. They go against your license plate. Now, if you don't pay the license ticket, the parking ticket, it goes against your license plate, and you won't be able to renew your license plate. So make sure you collect from your sister who caused that issue.
Even though renewal of the license plate is free, you still have to renew it every 2 years.
Yes. That's another thing. Yes. And if you want to know, remind yourself when that is for you. Oddly enough, it does correlate to your special day, like your birthday.
Like any special day?
Just your birthday.
Oh.
Day that you
That's a good reminder.
Out. That's a good reminder. But there's also a way to get an automated reminder, and that would be to go and visit trafficcop.ca. And on that magical...
You're going to tell people when...
I'm going to tell... Well, I'm not going to tell people. But
No?
I tell people how to get to the site to get the... I'm going to make this split screen for a second so it's a little bigger. If you go down to my useful links collection at the bottom, you can sign up for Get Service Renewal Reminders. And when you go there... I got to click on something else. I got to click on this thing. You can go to Get Service Reminders. Oh, it's too many button clicks to do this. And on this page, you can sign up. Look at this. Email, text message, or phone calls 60 and 30 days before it's time to renew your license plate, driver's license and health card, or Ontario photo card. This is something that everybody should sign up for because there is absolutely no excuse for letting these things expire, but they don't send you mail anymore because they're saving the money. So you have to voluntarily sign up for this business.
They used to give you a little sticker you put on your license plate, and that would be a clue as well. But
They don't
do that anymore.
It certainly helped us out, but it's a real deal. Are all traffic cops bald? Only the really good ones, I think. I think that's the deal.
I think that's the rule, yeah.
But not all. There are some that are rookies and still learning. But when you put all the information that we have in our brains, the follicles just pop out.
It's a stress. That's what it is.
You know too much. There's only a limited amount of space in the bowl here. Okay.
I saw a bald non-traffic guy too.
Was he good at traffic stuff?
You know what? He used to be a traffic
Oh,
guy.
there you go. That makes sense. Scott says, I just nodded my head to your question to your partner. I wish I knew what the question was. I caused you to nod your head, but I understand. Can I have tint on my front windshield? in Ottawa, just the top and the bottom.
That is a hard no. And why in the world would you ever want to make it harder for you to drive?
Well, they think it makes it better or cooler or a combination of it.
goodness.
It's not a good idea. Not a good idea because it's not legal. In fact, it would qualify for an unsafe motor vehicle, meaning that we would pull your plates and you would have to.
That's for you, by the way.
Oh, that's actually it is for me. I have a button. See, I'm going to press this. I'm live streaming. I'm blowing up the sergeant saying I'm on there. I'm on the air.
He called me too.
Oh, he must really need something.
It must be. We'll give him a call. in a
We'll
few.
give him a call in a second. Yeah, it's illegal. We take your plates. You'd have to get a new certification, or I have seen people, when given the opportunity, peel the tint off their windshield at the side of the road to avoid losing their plates.
That would be the only way you're driving away.
That's right.
Well, in my case, anyways. It's almost as bad. Actually, it's worse than the tinted tail lights. Except the tinted tail lights make it harder for other drivers not to run in the back of you.
That's right. Both are bad. I would say, and both of them look pretty silly, in my opinion. Chase wants to know, can you clarify? He doesn't want to know. He asks that we clarify which plows are allowed to have blue lights. I thought only municipal plows, but I saw 407 pickup trucks with blue flashing lights or with flashing blues.
So,
Those under contract for the government. I think.
so are those are the ones that are either being run by the municipality or under contract for the municipality for the purposes of clearing roadways and municipal sidewalks. Private snowplows cannot have that flashing on the road.
The 407 ones?
The 407, they can because they're under contract for the 407 to clear it. I'm talking like landscape companies.
Oh,
that
yes,
have
yes.
snowplows and they put blue lights on them. They're not allowed to have them on.
No, they should have ambers. And they shouldn't have any.
I'm going to tell you, every truck that goes by that has flashing lights on it, driving down the street, doing whatever they're doing, kind of waters down the importance of having flashing hazard lights.
Okay. When you're off duty, and this is a good question for both of us, how does it feel when you see someone breaking the law? You know what? I'm a traffic cop 24/7. I'm a cop 24/7. It drives me bananas because I see it all, and even my kids see it all now, and we all point out the issues. You know, Daddy, why is that dum-dum doing that? And that's yeah. If it's a Flintstones reference, and we use it
Hello,
appropriately.
dum-dum.
Yes. Why do people forget how to drive as soon as this kind of weather starts?
Yeah. It's like Groundhog Day. Every year for snowfall, people go back.
I call it seasonal amnesia. People totally forget. It's like snow. What happens when you press the brake? It's slippery. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know how people forget.
Is that what they do? Is that how they do it too?
Yeah. Is smoking while driving legal if you're alone in the vehicle?
Is it illegal? No.
Or legal? It's the question. Is it legal if you're
It
alone?
depends. Is it a work vehicle?
If it's a work vehicle, it's not legal under the Smoke Free Ontario Act. You can't smoke in your workplace. So all these trucks, and company cars, no, that's illegal. If you are driving in a personal vehicle, it is legal as long as there's no one under the age of 16 years old, at which point it becomes illegal. Yeah,
And I heard that smoking is bad for you.
apparently. I don't know. There are people who used to do it and then quit, and now are they worse people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can't stand smoke.
Definitely they are.
I have a sensitive schnoz. I can't even go into like the perfume department in a mall. I can't stand it. I don't know how I ever smoked, and I smoked for a period of time when I was much younger. I have no idea because I think it's the most disgusting thing ever. Anyway, Jay wants to know: is it true you're supposed to stop at yellow lights?
And there's a ticket for it as well.
The actual deal is you are supposed to stop unless it's unsafe to do so. Meaning, and actually, if you've taken any professional training, any kind of young drivers kind of ish stuff, it's to stop unless unsafe to do so, and at which point you were to proceed with caution. And that's we're talking about past the point of no return. So if you're approaching and there's no way for you to stop, then obviously you're not going to hammer the brakes, end up somewhere in the middle of the intersection. That would be unreasonable. And in certain weather conditions, it would be unreasonable at a further distance back. Assuming, or one thing that really helps you stop for red lights and yellow lights is going the appropriate speed. Those who are exceeding the posted speed limit may have difficulty coming to a stop in the prescribed distance.
And you know what? There are certain clues you can look around to and maybe anticipate the change of the traffic signal.
Oh, you mean like the other traffic? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the pedestrian countdowns, quite possibly.
Hints, clues. Can I drive without a license in a parking lot?
Yes.
we cannot charge you for driving without a license because it's private property. However, there are other charges that we could charge you for on private property, like stunt driving. So if you were doing donuts, burnouts, spinning, wheelies in a private parking lot, we could still charge you even though you don't have a license. Big Jeff Fresh says I need to do a pre-stream circle check of my equipment.
You do.
I have no idea why that would have ever been plugged out. Was the ghost of Christmas past here? I don't know. Let's see here. By the way, Christmas is coming. It's not that far away.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Comes around about the same time of year.
So usually some
Yeah.
they have a date in mind.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Chase jumping on the joke. Sean says do a walk around of your car before driving. Now he must do a walk around of the studio equipment before going live. Very good, very well. Two funny guys. Let's see here. If you're being pulled over, can you turn off a busy street onto an off ramp to make it easier, safer?
Can you? Well,
The off ramp is throwing me off because you're saying busy street. You're talking about highways and off ramps or just side streets?
we can kind of choose a spot that's most safe for everybody to try and pull you over. And if the driver is paying attention, you'll notice when the police officer turns the lights on behind them and they pull over right away. You have to pull over right away. If you're thinking that it's not safe or you've got something else in mind, it may be interpreted as you're not wanting to stop. I would suggest put your turn signal on. You know that somebody's behind you. You're showing the officer that you're going to be pulling over.
Intention.
And you pull over and stop as quickly as you can.
The deal is that you're legally obligated to pull over, and that should be an immediate and safe thing to do. Shopping for parking is not really part of that, but we get it, and there's some wiggle room. But if you don't do that, if you don't do that in a pretty quick order, it's not good.
Right.
Yeah. Ideally, pull over and as soon as you can, safely and smoothly. And we are factoring in safety when we're pulling you over. We're choosing the place to light you up. We are choosing the place to activate our equipment, pull over, create a sufficient blocking. You pull into a side street, and now we don't have the ability to do. We may not have the ability to stop, and we may end up blocking the entire street. It may not be as good as you think it is. So ideally, pull over where we want you to. And then if you think there's a safety issue, we might be able to take your information and give you direction if it's not impaired related.
I was about to say, sometimes you may be directed around the corner anyways.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's see here. Okay, so we have a question about at what constant temperature does driving with winter tires cause more damage to the tires in terms of wrecking them opposed to better traction? Well, I was talking to Sean Cowan yesterday from Breakfast Television, and he apparently went to get his winter tires changed and found out that his winter tires were still on his car from last year.
Uh-oh.
But the tire guy said that his winter tires were fine, which I find difficult to believe based on the fact that if you're doing highway driving in the summertime, I would just think those would just come apart, like very quickly.
Well, they don't come apart, but they're softer, and they will wear down quicker. But originally, winter tires will have a deeper tread pattern than the summer-only tires or a sport tire.
But then they're less effective as snow tires the next year.
They certainly are.
Yeah. But it is interesting. So I don't know what, actually, wait, here we go. There's an answer from Sean, from Ryan Pinn.
They always say that 7 degrees is the changeover point.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's going to be constantly above 7 degrees, then you should put your summer tires on.
Look at that. Ryan Pinn.
Oh, look at that, 7 degrees.
It says 8 degrees and warmer. It should be all weather. But in terms of the actual threshold for when damage to that tire occurs, I don't have an answer for you. Other than that, just I don't expect it to last well. And I would be surprised if they truly lasted the season. You wouldn't be able to get a whole year out of them safely, I think.
Well, you know what? They become really, really soft and gummy, and they don't handle as well, and they don't stick to the road because they're so soft that they slide an awful lot. So,
Oh, interesting. We've got a user on Kick who says that we're going offline every few seconds. So obviously there's some issues today with the internet. The interweb is not being friendly because we have some slight lag apparently, which may or may not have been resolved when I changed the resolution, but who knows? Here's an interesting tow truck related question. I saw a flat deck tow truck honking his horn and flashing his ambers to try and get someone to pull over yesterday. I just shook my head and pointed out to my student that that's not allowed. Yeah, they're not supposed to pull people.
Well, no. Maybe he's trying to do it to let them know that they're driving around on a flat tire or there's something
Yeah.
that's wrong. And you know what? There's a lot of drivers that will try and do that. I pulled up beside somebody, honked the horn, and said, "Hey, you don't have your headlights on," to which they turned it on. Tow trucks? No, he can't pull you over.
No authority. And I don't think that would change in Nova Scotia. Everyone should have to take a road test to renew your license for the first 10 years of getting your G license.
I like it.
I like it too. Just passing one test does not make you a good driver. It does not mean you're truly a good driver. You just maybe manage to squeak through.
How about N1 every 10 years going forward?
I like that too.
Yeah.
It's amazing the people you study for a week, you part-time drive for a year, you drive marginally more, or maybe even every day from that point forward as a G2 driver. But where's the continued learning? As a police officer, we talk about traffic safety on a regular basis. If we have a problem that's identified, we are taken to courses to improve our driving. If we're getting into specialty areas, we take further testing. If we want to tow a trailer, we have to be qualified to tow that trailer. If we want to, everything we do, we qualify and demonstrate proficiency in order to be left to make mistakes afterwards. Like we at very least have a bar to pass at every juncture to ensure that we're doing the right thing and going to be doing it safely.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
More and more people should be brought that test, because an awful lot of people I see out there would not pass it. That's for sure.
Yes. It is 11:10, which means we are past 11 o'clock, which means the show is over from the purposes or from the perspective of new questions. But I see a couple questions that are here, even though it is technically past 11 mark. We'll take them, and then we're going to say goodbye for today. Let's see here.
Another couple of minutes, and then I'm out.
Cool. We'll be out. We'll both be out. Would you recommend police foundations for college for anyone wanting to become a cop? So, police foundations is a great opportunity for secondary education. Or continuing education. Is it necessary? There's differing opinions.
So an awful lot of the stuff you're going to learn again at police college.
Possibly differently.
But if you want to know more about policing, to find out if you're the right fit for policing, and if you have the right aptitude for it, that's a great way to find out.
Absolutely. But my suggestion, if you're truly looking for secondary or a secondary, post-secondary education, take something entirely different. Bring something different. Everyone goes to police foundations. Go get an accounting degree. Go get into something like psychology or forensics, something that brings a unique skill set to our police service that makes us better because you're part of it, makes you a unique applicant. Financial crimes, I always say accounting because we have a financial crimes division. Wouldn't that be a great asset if you understood money and numbers?
Absolutely.
And the average copper coming on the job probably doesn't have a background on it. We have medical doctors who chose to become police officers later. I imagine that they have a lot of information to share when it comes to homicides.
Absolutely.
Just saying. If you are interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, I would suggest checking out this website. It happens to be our website. It is www.tps.ca/careers. I'll put that up on screen for you. And when you get here, you see all these smiling, happy people that look like, see, you want to look like this? Just join the police service and you'll be smiling and happy for the rest of your days, or at least until you've been here for 2 years. No, it's really, I kid. We're applying. We're taking applications for all sorts of positions. Police constable is one that is constant, and the one that most people associate with the Toronto Police is the police constable role. There's a lot of different jobs that we have in our family, and that includes special constable, which is how we started. We were special constables in court services. We have parking enforcement officers like Aaron Urquhart who go and keep our city moving. They work to make sure people don't clog up those arteries that allow people to travel within the city. And they don't get the recognition they deserve. They really do help out the city, and they're the unsung heroes. When you talk about my true start to the job with the Toronto Police, I started as a volunteer because there was a hiring freeze. So I was a checkerhead like this chap here. The checkerboard hat band means they're auxiliary officers. There is currently an application process underway, and they're taking the next class early 2024. So if you are interested in becoming a volunteer and having one of the most unique volunteer opportunities there is, and check out the auxiliary program. It is part-time, 150 hours a year from what I understand, that you must commit to the program. But you get training, you get involvement, and this might be the way for you to determine if you want a lifetime, a true career in law enforcement. Great way to start. And last but not least is civilian roles. Let's see what's currently on the, still two. Payroll coordinator and communications operator. Now, this changes all the time. When you go into something like this, you'll see that there is a posted date. So on Tuesday, November 14th, this will close and no longer be available as an option to apply for. So if you check regularly, you can look for positions that aren't uniform positions, but give you unique opportunities to serve your community. There's a radio somewhere. Okay. Take this off screen.
All right, I'm out.
You're out?
I'm out.
I'm out too.
All right.
We're all going to be out. What do we got here? Before I say goodbye, I'm just making sure I get the last couple ones here. Can I exceed the speed limit if I'm late for traffic court? That's funny. In a police car? No. Is it true G2 driver can't get demerit points, so instead they get a license suspension? No, that's not true. You get demerit points, which could trigger a license suspension, but you definitely acquire points, and you get points. You get suspensions sooner by acquiring points. In fact, as a G2 driver, if you get a ticket that has a 4 demerit point consequence, you get a conviction for that, you get a 30-day suspension. Second time, 90-day suspension. Third time, you get kicked out of the licensing program. Let's see here. Oh, this is interesting. I'm thinking of setting up a table at Access Nova Scotia to do free driving evaluations. So this is where you're going to tell people how badly they drive and then get them to take some courses. Cool. Do you think that more HTA should be taught during G1 or driver training? Like no one is taught that plate covers are illegal until they watch you or have flashing lights behind them. I think that is a phenomenal idea. But I understand also that it's daunting and a lot of information is being downloaded to people at G1 and G2. And more people just need to find out about us, I guess. Yeah. But I do think more training is better. Okay, Akila Dacona says, quote of the day, to believe in something and not to live it is dishonest. Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, cool. That is a good one. I like that. Let's get into dad jokes before we hit the song and say goodbye. But I see a dad joke came in from Zombie. Which program do Jedis use to open PDF files? Adobe One Kenobi. Oh. Is it contextually correct to say, do Jedi use? I guess not Jedis. I was wrong. Do Jedi. Jedi is plural? Okay. Not Jedis. Apparently I don't watch Star Wars nearly enough. The Jedi. November 1st, Wednesday. I haven't done a joke in a while. I confronted a mime today. He did unspeakable things. Okay. Okay. Dad, we are pyromaniacs. I can't read today. Dad, we are pyromaniacs. And Dad says, we are, son. November 3rd. Have you heard about the Pope's kitten addiction? He's a cat-holic? That's really bad. That's not funny. The weekend version. We gotta catch up a bit. I made a hiking playlist with songs from the Cranberries, Peanuts, and Eminem. I call it my trail mix. That's not bad. My friend claims I'm the cheapest person they've ever met, but I'm not buying it. Monday's joke. Where do you find books about oil in the library? It's in the non-friction section. I actually like that one. I'm keeping it. I have a family member who's in the lubricants business for automotive lubricants. Okay, November 7th. That's Tuesday. Have you heard about the candidates stealing ballots from election boxes? They've got my vote. Really didn't deserve the hi-hat. No. I was accused of being a plagiarist. Their words, not mine. I like it, but no sound effect for it. Okay, Thursday, we're finally up to date. Dad, why can't we have a dinosaur as a pet? Because they're all dead. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about that one. I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad. All right. With that, I will say goodbye. But I'll play the song, which means we'll delay the goodbye for a few more moments. And then we'll see you tomorrow. Just saying.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
And yeah, that's a song. If you didn't know, that was written, performed, and recorded at a police. Well, it was written and performed by a police officer, recorded by another police officer in a police station. It's musical magic, truly. Let's see here. Where's my cursor? There's my cursor. Someone wants to know why Emma is is responding and helping out, because Emma's a friend. May not be married to a cop or not a cop themselves, but Emma's been around for a long time helping us out. So is Tracy. They know stuff, and they know so much stuff that they regularly help out, and we appreciate them. So that's why, in fact, back when we started, we had moderators helping out that were civilians and not members of the service, and Emma was one of them. In fact, it was like the first one. So that goes back way back, old school. And yeah, she knows stuff and things. We appreciate her. So the folks that are trying to help out by giving you answers to questions in the chat are really just that, helping you out. They know stuff. And while most people want to hear it from me, there's a lot of questions to answer, and I don't get to all of them. So they are truly performing a service to the community at large. And again, did I mention we appreciate them? Thanks very much to everybody who showed up today. And we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m., to do it all again. Have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, and park legally. I say that for Aaron's sake. I don't do the parking.